What's good, everybody? It's Aria here. This is off the cuff. There's no script, nothing like that. I want to ramble for a little bit. I've been seeing some things that have definitely been just kind of crawling under my skin a bit, so I'm like, I want to talk about it. If you listen, I appreciate you taking the time to do so. The first thing I want to talk about, difficulty in gaming nowadays. As everybody assuredly knows, Hollow Knight Silksong came out recently. One thing I've noticed is people have had their complaints about the difficulty of the game. I have heard that the original Hollow Knight was also extremely hard, but not as hard as Silksong. Jupiter Climb, a well-known Castlevania speedrunner, actually played through Silksong, is working on speedrunning and whatnot for the game already. Loves the game, but he actually says that the game is actually very difficult and that he recommends actually that people play Hollow Knight before playing Silksong. That Silksong gets much more difficult than Hollow Knight much earlier in, so there's a difficulty spike. If people in general get pulled in by the hype of your game, they want to, experience what everyone else is experiencing, and they want to just see, hey, let's see what all the hubbub is about. Let's see what all the excitement is about. And they can't because the difficulty is a barrier to entry. That is 100% valid. That happens to people. That brings me to a related topic. I saw a video where someone made a comparison between Silksong and Shinobi. Shinobi Art of Vengeance and Silksong have really only two things in common. They are both Metroidvanias. They both lean in the direction of being Metroidvanias, and they can consider themselves to be pretty tough in their own right. Shinobi Art of Vengeance, though, is not as difficult, anywhere near as difficult as Silksong. From everything that I have heard, at least, it doesn't have those high difficulty spikes that Silksong has, and those really brutal stretches between save points and everything else that happens like that. But that's not to say Shinobi doesn't have its moments where it's like really tough, just really, really, really difficult in general. The thing is about Shinobi is that those moments where the game is unbearably difficult are all optional. They're not things that are, tied into the make of the game, because Shinobi is not trying to be that kind of game by design. But one of the things that I saw this person in this video mention was how in Shinobi there's no contact damage, that the enemies only tend to take one, maybe two actions. And they're not difficult for you to deal with. But they were using the beginning area of the game as their comparison point, taking that and saying that Shinobi, in general, doesn't give the same kind of balls to the wall challenge that Silksong does. It's like, well, it's not designed to be what Silksong is. It's like, oh, an enemy throws a single shuriken, and you can roll up close to them or whatever else, and you can crouch and the shuriken goes over your head, blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of all the Shinobi, the enemy ninja will do. Just throw shuriken and you can just kill them. Yeah, I mean, that's, you're in the beginning of the game especially, that's all you're gonna get, right? But that says nothing to the concept of, hey, there's gonna be stronger enemies as you progress through the game. And also, you're gonna have to deal with a multitude of enemies doing things from different angles, especially if you start taking on some of those elite challenges and things of that nature, or taking on some of the intentionally difficult platforming sections that the game offers. There are those areas where that challenge is a thing, but again, they're all optional, and that's how Shinobi approaches it. They want to walk people into the game, give them room to get comfortable, give them a decent challenge going through the game, and then allow the player to move on while adjusting to that challenge, as opposed to Silksong, which just kind of says, we're throwing you into the blender frame one, have fun. And they admit it, like they like games that give like a ridiculously high amount of challenge and are just brutal. And if that's what you're about, you know, cool, I suppose, but like then there's the concept of acting like it's a novel thing. I would like to remind people that the 3D Ninja Gaiden games exist because those were notorious for being unflinchingly brutal. To this day, people are still like not playing those games when they're amazing. I'm hoping Ninja Gaiden 4 will change that, but they do exactly the same thing that like a lot of these uber difficult games do without really compromising on what they're trying to be otherwise. It's really awkward to see that, and it's even more messed up to see people that want to get into Hollow Knight and or Silk Song but find it too difficult or have like disabilities and things of that nature. It's so messed up to see them get clowned on for wanting to get into something, finding it too difficult, whether it be due to a circumstance out of their control or it simply just being a skill issue. People forget that there's nothing wrong with having a skill issue for a game, especially a single player game, right? Wanting your experience to be a little more welcoming so that you can get into the game, get into the world and whatnot the game presents is perfectly okay. It's extremely valid. So people coming down on folks and telling them they need to get good, or worse, saying that they don't deserve to play the game is beyond me. It's insane to like see and hear people say things like that. That's one thing I wanted to like talk about. I needed to rant about it and kind of get that off my chest, because what in the world is up with people? What's going on with people with that?